back, everybody, to the Blazer Victory Podcast. This is your host, John Duncan, and I'm joined with my co-hosts, Darion Smith and Jimmy Marion. Fellas, how are y'all doing this evening?
Doing great, John. How about yourself?
Can't complain, Darion. You doing all right? I know you're
Yes,
staying busy.
yes, sir. Staying busy. Just left daughter All-Star practice. She made the little All-Star team for basketball, and she's improving. So, regular daily life dad stuff.
Well, good to hear. And before we get going, most of our audience is going to be listening to this on Valentine's Day. So, all three of us are happily married. So we want to shout out our wives real quick. Happy Valentine's Day, to the women of the Blazer Victory Podcast. And like Darion said last episode, they put up with a lot to allow us to do this so frequently and, just do what we love. So shout out to all three of our wives, and I know they're listening right now. So shout out.
And John, I'm gonna be real, and I've already had this conversation with my wife. I hate Valentine's Day.
Okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one because we don't do anything, to be honest. Because it's so corporate. Like you got to buy these chocolate, you got to buy these balloons, gotta go on a trip.
And when you get older, it's anniversary.
Kids, exactly. Yeah.
It's anniversary that's important. It's birthdays, Christmas, all of this, and Valentine's. I'd buy a bear for my girls or something. May have a good dinner. But yeah, happy. I almost said anniversary. Happy Valentine's.
Oh yeah. Well, glad we're all. Jimmy, are you in agreement about? Well, I don't want to put you on the spot, but are you?
No. Hey,
right
1,000%. We were talking about Valentine's earlier, and I was like, I'm just stressing out about tomorrow, and she's like, it ain't a big deal, but I still can't help but stress out about it.
Yeah. Oh. Well, guys, go ahead. If you're listening right now and you have not checked out our new website, go to www.blazervictory.com. We've already got some articles on there. Of course, we're posting this podcast on here. So if you have not checked out the Blazer Victory's website, definitely right now click the link below in your podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you're listening now, and check out www.blazervictory.com. And guys, hey, this is non-UAB related, but we had the Super Bowl Sunday. Well, do you guys have some thoughts on, I don't know if you want to go Rihanna, if you want to talk about the game. Like, do you guys have any thoughts in regards to the Super Bowl?
Jimmy, what you got? I
was about to toss it to Darion and be like, let me give this one to Darion real quick. Yeah, I'm always going to be honest with the UAB fan base. I did not watch the Super Bowl. I watched highlights of the Super Bowl. So, I was like most other people. I played a lot of fantasy football. I kicked that habit maybe 2 years ago. And ever since I stopped playing fantasy football, it's been a little bit hard. I've got the red zone on Sundays and we'll still tune in a little bit. But I just couldn't get into yesterday's game for one reason or another. I'm still obviously in the middle of basketball season. So I'm not going to lie to UAB fan base. I did not watch the Super Bowl.
Well, I'm very vested in the Super Bowl. I'm very vested into fantasy football. I love fantasy football. Like I'm in multiple leagues and money leagues, but also I've done a lot of video work and I've done work with James Bradbury. He went to Hueytown here, cornerback for the Eagles, played at Samford. And he's the most humble, the most soft-spoken guy. Like he's the type of guy that you wouldn't mind if he dated your sister. He's that type of guy. Yeah. Like he's just a really good dude. To see that call at the end of the game thrown on him, and I know he said that
he said in post game that it was a hold, wasn't it?
Yes, but if you know James, I wouldn't expect anything different because, like I said, he is just that type of guy. Like he's gonna take accountability. I'm like, at some point, have you been around people that take accountability to a fault?
Yes.
That's James because he's such a leader and he's such a kind of like a do the right thing. He's a great guy, and I'll disagree with James like right there because it's like if any Game of Thrones fans out there, we had this during Game of Thrones, you had this great season, like these great seasons all the way up. Like it was the best show I've ever watched. And you got to the ending, you got to season 8, and it was just like, this is what we doing here? Like, this is how we're going to end all of this, like this great writing. And we're just going to basically they threw a flag and let it decide the game. I'm not saying that Kansas City wouldn't have won. Kansas City was rolling, and I don't know what was going on with Philly's backfield, defensive backfield. But man, they had got the third down stop. Juju wasn't gonna catch that ball anyway. Let them kick a field goal. It was gonna be about 1 minute and 40-some seconds left with a timeout. Jalen was cooking. I liked seeing how he was cooking. AJ Brown, Mississippi Silk Boy, stand up. Like the boys was cooking, man. And I just wanted to see a classic of a game. It was such a good game. I wanted to see it end the right way, and to see it end on a freaking flag.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Let them play.
And you see a lot of people like talking about like the last couple weeks. It's been like, is the NFL really rigged? Like, is
the script?
Is it scripted? And I mean, you look at a play like that late in a ball game, and it wasn't. In my opinion, it was not a blatant, like obvious hold. Like he maybe tugged it a little bit, but they do that every play. Like, and to throw that flag there, I don't know. But in regards to the game, I had no rooting interest. I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan, so we were long out of the playoff picture before we.
28-3.
Oh yeah, you ain't got to bring that up now. But I mean, I've been part of the reason why I haven't watched a lot of NFL recently is because the Falcons kind of suck. But other than that, like I just hadn't really got into it. I've been so focused, kind of what Jimmy said, on like, college basketball right now and college football. And honestly, sometimes after Saturdays, guys, I get burnt out. Like, just doing all this stuff. I still love it though. Don't get me wrong. But so on Sundays, I'm trying to spend more time with the family and, church and everything. So I hadn't really got into the NFL, but I did watch that whole game on Sunday, and I thought it was a heck of a game. So I thought the halftime show was good. I know we don't have to get too deep into that, but yeah. I guess bring on the USF? No, the XFL is next, right?
I think it's this weekend.
And
wow.
And I thought the halftime show was good too. Like Rihanna revealing that she's pregnant after she just dropped the baby like 3 days ago. Like she's pregnant.
Darion, I was looking at my wife during that. I was like, is she? Because you don't want to say it like what? I'm pretty sure, but I don't want to say anything. But
yeah, but I knew one thing I did know, and one thing we have to be real about is like Rihanna. The NFL and the audience that the NFL has, like versus like Rihanna type artists, I knew it was going to be a mixed bag just because of Rihanna and her music and who her audience is catered to versus some typical NFL audiences. And it was so, because I follow all different type of people on Twitter, it was so funny to just like see the divide. I was like, man, it's like two cultures, and age is an age difference there, and there's a culture difference there, and it's like so polarized. And so many people like this was like the greatest show ever. The others was like, man, what, like bring Bon Jovi on, like So
Bon Jovi.
it was gonna be polarized, and no matter what you wanted to do, like that's just what it was gonna be. So, for what it's worth, I'm a fan of all types of music, and it was a great show, especially her doing all that pregnant. Like it's everything about the Super Bowl was good except the flag.
And I was gonna say, there's no way I would have got on that floating thing to, especially with her being pregnant. I was like, man, you got to give kudos, like, because I would not have got up there.
A lot of times when I see stuff like that, I think about I hate to break this up, but I think about what was the wrestler that he was suspended in the air and he actually ended up falling. It was fatal. Was it Bret Hart? You guys ain't wrestling fans?
I'm not wrestling fans, so I know the name Bret Hart, but I didn't.
Am I the only guy that's like interested in everything here? Like
it's starting to feel that way.
you wrestling's fake though too, bro.
Like I thought you. Do you guys know Game of Thrones? Are you familiar?
Hey, I watch Game of Thrones. I can vibe with you there.
Okay, so you felt me on the.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I was nodding my head.
Never seen
vibe check. What's going on here?
All right, guys. Well, y'all ready to talk some UAB basketball?
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
All right, let's give the people what they came for. So we're going to start in reverse, and we're going to talk about what happened Saturday, and then we'll get into what happened the game before Thursday. But, guys, UAB whoops Middle Tennessee 92-69 Saturday at the Bartow Classic. And I don't want to speak for for all three of us, but in my opinion, that was the most efficient UAB has looked on offense by far this entire year. And by saying that too, it wasn't just the Jelly Show. I mean, I know he led with 25 points, but how about Ty Brewer? 24 points, 11 of 18 from the field, just coming in clutch. In the group text during the game, there was KJ Buffin was on a fast break and missed the layup, but there's Ty Brewer right there to slam it down after the miss. Like that was the Ty Brewer show. Like, I mean, I was so happy to see him finally, because I mean, this is a season high for him, 24 points. But overall, UAB shot lights out. Like, it was just a good day to be in Bartow. I mean, the weather outside wasn't good, but it was nothing but good times in Bartow Arena Saturday.
Yeah,
Jimmy,
I thought it was
because I
really
know you were there.
interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting. We've started Ty Brewer at least a couple of different times throughout the season, but the response that he had to being put back in the starting lineup was absolutely key. You could see that was a point of emphasis there early in the game. They're running several actions to get him jump shots and spots that he liked, and he's just one of those guys that definitely you want to cheer for. I mean, the athleticism is unreal, and he just did it from all three phases. I think it was UABsports.com had posted that he's hit 7 of his last 10 threes. And he's 68% from the field over the last 4 games, and that's with 28 total attempts. So, I mean, he's definitely hitting his hot streak, here during the season. So it's really cool to see. But to sit back in the Bartow Arena and to see us never trail, to lead by as many points as we did, I mean, just as a fan, I sat there at halftime and I was like, probably most of us thought this game's over. Like, it's just let's get some of the other guys in. So it was really cool, and most importantly, it was a win in that column, and we've won 5 out of the last 6 games.
Yeah, so much about basketball nowadays is depending on versatility. So it's good to have strengths, right? But it's about how can you expose the other team's weaknesses more so. So if you think about, and we're going to talk about like North Texas, but that's how like a team like North Texas is. It's like they don't really have, I mean, you say Tyler Perry, but after watching him, it's not he doesn't have that jelly like one-on-one offensive ability or anything like that. Now those people raise your ceiling, but go back and think about West Virginia's team, just a very athletic, big, connected unit. Probably not a guy that's gonna just break you down or nothing like that. But there's not many weaknesses. That's the point of it all. Now, especially at our level, I think it's about sharing up weaknesses. And I think with Ty Brewer inserted into that starting lineup, we talked about it in the beginning of the year, like how we was kind of small, because we already had a small backcourt. And then on the wing, we weren't too big. I mean, KJ and Jemison, good job in the front court right there. But that third front court player was Ladarius Brewer or Taven Lovin, or somebody like that. And they're not the biggest of guys, or not the most physical or athletic, especially at that 3 spot. That's what you want. Well, Ty is that. Like, Ty is a legit 6'7". He's athletic. He is strong. But now with his emergence and his confidence in his jump shot, I mean, and the switchability between him and KJ, like you're not gonna bully him, you're not gonna bully KJ. You have to have guys like that on the wing spot, because this is what modern day basketball is. It's switchability, it's versatility, and it's being able to have an answer for the problems. Think about the football team. When you think about our UAB football team, this past year, one thing that we didn't have is a counter. right? Like we kind of were who we were, but the problem is having such a strength is in such an identity. If you shut that down, what are you going to counter with? You know, the greatest players in history always have multiple counters. That's what make a player hard to stop. You know, they like driving right. Well, they can spin left. They can finish left. More, they can hit you with a floater. Think about Jelly on his offensive back when I get to him later too. But Jelly has so many different ways to score. That's what makes him. He's a smaller guy, but that's what makes him special. He can shoot from long distance. He can drive it. He can step back. He can get contact and one. Like, we have counters. So I think it wasn't the Jelly show like you said. We got Ty Brewer going. We got all these different guys going. Guess who you can't just sit there and say, just stop now? Jelly.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, I'm gonna circle back around to that point more, but to allow everyone to kind of get in on this point. But I thought that was the most important thing, was to, like, we got other guys going. So while the focus is on Jelly, that's, if I'm another team, that's what I'm going to scout. Like, man, stop this guy, and they're going to kind of be out of sorts. Well, not anymore. We're a lot more balanced team than what we were to start the year.
Oh, no doubt. And I mean, you look at the box score. You know, just UAB 21 assists to just 9 turnovers. Like, they passed the ball well Saturday. Like, everybody got some. And, you know, as we mentioned earlier, you know, still Jelly was the leading scorer, but you look at Ty Brewery, like you look at KJ, like you had a lot of guys contribute. And real quick too, I want to get into talking about KJ Buffin and how, you know, it was a great moment to witness. Is early on in that game, KJ Buffin had a really good dunk and he was immediately teed up. And the only reason that I can see that he got teed up for it was because he was just turning around and looked at the Middle Tennessee bench. What a weak call. Like, he didn't say anything to the Middle Tennessee bench. He didn't do anything. He just looked and started trotting back down. But, you know, I give credit too to Steve Irvine, you know, in the postgame presser, asked Andy Kennedy about that. And, like, it seems that the team has just grown. Like, KJ, he didn't let that affect him. Like, he, you know, he kind of shrugged it off when he got teed up. Like, there was no, like, emotional, like, man, I can't believe this, you know, whatever, get me out of the game. No, he just shrugged it off and continued to play well. And I think that is a sign of not only leadership, but just, you know, a sign of maturity for this team. Like, they knew how important this ball game was. Not only was it, you know, to honor Gene Bartow and Ruth Bartow, you know, and Murray Bartow was at the game, you know, for the Bartow Classic. But I mean, this was a very important game in Conference USA because the winner of this game got a game up and it's right now in third place. And that's what UAB's looking at. They are third place in Conference USA with a 9-6 Conference USA record. And they just, I don't know, man. It's like, this is what we expected to see this whole year, and it's so good to see them, you know, kind of starting to put it together more. You know, like Darion said, we'll talk about the North Texas game in a few minutes, but I'm just so proud to see what we saw on the court in Bartow Arena this past Saturday. Like what Jimmy mentioned earlier, like this game, UAB went up early, led by as many as 30 in the game, but they never looked back. This team was focused and determined, and they almost played angrily, but a good kind of anger. Like, it wasn't like a, you know, frustrated angry. It was like a point to prove anger, not only because of what happened against North Texas Thursday night, the game before, but what happened in Murfreesboro in the Glass House. Ty Brewer so close to getting that game-winning shot off in overtime in Murfreesboro. And look at Ty Brewer, season high 24 points against that same team. They had a point to prove, and they proved it. Let's see what happens going from here.
Yeah, I know you touched base on the assists and turnovers, and what's really impressive about what Eric Gaines and Jelly were able to do. I think they had 2 combined turnovers, playing still somewhat heavy minutes, was that Middle Tennessee has a lot of length on that team. So it wasn't like we were not pressured by Middle Tennessee. The, you know, score, the spread was large, but I was just really happy to see Eric Gaines and Jelly
really spread the basketball around. Eric Gaines, 10 assists and only 1 turnover, and Jelly getting it going, shooting efficiently from 3. That was just really cool to see. That was the team that we were thinking we were going to be as the season tipped off, and that was the backcourt, that I was really excited to see, and hopefully they can use that game as a continuation for the rest of the season here to really get it going, have us finish strong.
Yes, those two guys, John said a word, he said growth. Those two guys are like walking emblems of it, because I remember Eric at the beginning of the year and a lot of times throughout the season, his body language and his attitude, I was like, man, I don't know if this guy is going to be able to fit. He just seemed like he was like almost a loose cannon. I have seen a guy with his body language has been so positive. I've been seeing him not get down. I've been seeing him take that breath. And the sign of growth of him is he's kind of transformed from a combo guard into a true point guard. I didn't think that he would. The amount of growth that I've just seen from him has been like, it's not normal. But he has clearly accepted the challenge. He's been challenged.
When Jelly got hurt and that forced Gaines into being the primary point guard, me and you kind of talked. We were like, I don't think this is going to work. But look at him now. Yeah.
To have 10 assists and 1 turnover, wow. Just very controlled. He used to be a guy early on in the year. He would always get caught in the air or just kind of always like kind of indecisive. Mm-hmm. Man, this dude I don't think the people, like Jimmy said, Middle Tennessee is a team with a lot of length. When they played us, they blocked a lot of shots. The refs helped them out a lot. But that's neither here nor there. But they have a lot of length in their athletic. They can get their hands on the ball. He was very good controlling the ball, controlling the pace, controlling the tempo, spreading the ball around, making right passes, being aggressive, scoring when it was time to score, using his athleticism. I'm like, he is playing with his head. That is how he's going to get drafted. Right there, playing like that. Playing this role, not forcing it. Now, speaking of not forcing it, now let's go to Jelly. When Jelly, to start the year, Jelly was just so in this how he started against North Texas also. It was like, I have to get my shot off by all means, in which in turn he would take bad shots. Mm-hmm. Like he would get shots off, but I'm like, that is a horrible shot. It was like a step back, barely any separation. Have y'all ever seen a receiver, like a little slot receiver that can't get separation and they're just depending on a jump ball? Like if you're a 5'9" jump ball slot receiver, that's not a good mix. All right. Like that's not how you need to play. You depend on your slot receivers to get separation, and that's how they kill their opponents. So Jelly is smaller. Jelly is a guy that he depends on his quickness and gets separation. Well, a lot of the shots that he's been getting off lately were just kind of like pressing. And I said this on many pods, like he's pressing. And if you look at the beginning of that North Texas game, he was pressing. Like he was taking some horrible shots. And I'm like, that's not, you're giving them the ball. That's a turnover, basically. Well, if you look at if you remember me saying, I said this last basketball pod, it was just so funny to see it play out. I said, Jelly is a guy that can get his shot at any time. So he doesn't need to worry about where his points are at halftime or stuff like that, because he's a guy that can go on, you can look up, he can go from 5 points to 25 points. Bam, it can be that quick. But he has to help himself out by trusting in his teammates, because they're gonna focus on Jelly. Trust in your teammates. Let them get going. Loosen it up. Like UAB football, wish we would have threw the ball, to loosen it up for the run, because they're focused in on stopping the run. It's the same thing for Jelly. Like, get Ty Brewer, Ladarius Brewer, money mid-range. They've been money from 3. Eric Gaines can go downhill. Heck, get Trey Jemison a hook shot. But just seeing him, I think at halftime of the game, I think he had 6 points. 2 threes he made. It was either 6 or 9 points, but it was single digits. And then it's like you look up, it's like 25 points. It's like crazy. Well, guess what? We was blowing Middle Tennessee out at halftime. And it wasn't Jelly that was doing it. Jelly was just trusting in his teammates, and he was letting the gravity of his presence on the court help them get going. So it's like you take what the defense give you. Y'all wanna playoff tiebreaker? Y'all wanna act like KJ Buffin can't score? Well, there you go. Well, we're gonna feast on you until you loosen up off of me, and he got going. What are you gonna stop? And that's why I pivot back around to counters. So just to see the team be so balanced and have counters and trust in each other, that's like beautiful basketball. We play like that, and we have the size like Ty Brewer 6'7" on the wing with KJ Buffin and Trey Jemison. That's a big front court. We didn't lose shooting. Everybody's shooting well. All of a sudden, Eric Gaines done turned into a freaking sniper. He makes his threes a lot now. Like, it's crazy to see. If this is the team going forward in the way that we've been growing, in the way like just stylistically and how we've been trusting in each other, and Coach Kennedy, man, this has been a coaching job to turn that team around, to turn this team around from what it was and how we could have backslid from Jelly getting hurt and that losing streak we had. Coach Kennedy to challenge these guys, to coach them up right, to get them to buy in because with how they're playing and how they are reacting, how KJ Buffin is reacting, how Eric Gaines is reacting. That's coaching. And I can't say enough about the coaching job, and I can't say enough about how these guys has responded as leaders. How Jelly been on Twitter just being accountable.
Being a leader, yeah.
Being a leader, that's special, that's growth. And I'm just so proud of this team. I'm like, I think I'm liking this team like I liked last year's team now. Like, I didn't think I was going to be able to get to that point, but just kudos to Coach Kennedy and that staff, man. This team is a team that's acting like they love to play with each other now. And we couldn't say that in the beginning of the year.
Yeah, no doubt. Shout out to AK and that staff. Ryan Cross, Pearson, Coach Pearson, like that whole staff. They've done a great job with this team because, I mean, you're definitely right, Darren. Like a lot of head coaches, especially like where UAB was having that downward slide and losing streak, like your best player, was hurt, didn't look like he, was coming back for a while. A lot of coaches would have just packed it in and be like, okay, you know what? I messed up, whatever. We'll just, hit the portal again next year and redo it. But no, AK got the guys' attention, worked them hard in practice, and this is, proof of that. Like they are finally starting to, kind of click, especially on the offense. But I want to talk about the defensive effort. And Darion, this is something, and Jimmy, that we've kind of talked about in our text group, but the defensive intensity from this UAB team, even in the North Texas game, and we'll get into that in a minute, even though they lost at North Texas, I thought they did a good job defensively against North Texas. They did a great job defensively against Middle Tennessee. Like you look, this is one guy that I put in my 3 keys to a Blazer victory article on blazervictory.com was DeAndre Dishman. Front court guy, killed UAB for like 25 points in the Conference USA tournament. I think he had double digits the last time in Murfreesboro. You know what he ended up with? Just 4 points. And 2 of those 4 were from free throws. Shout out to Trey Jemison down low, Javion Davis. Really the whole team. Like this team is finally playing really strong defense. Like, some of the guys, hey, they might be small and they might not can play the best defense, but I tell you what, they're hustling their butts off now and trying to trap guys, getting in front of guys. Like you can tell there is more of an effort lately, and that's just not this game. That's been the last week or 2 weeks. Like they have picked up the team defensive intensity, and you just love to see it. You really just love to see it. So, again, Bartow Classic. 92-69 UAB not solidifies. There's still a couple weeks left, but for now has that 3rd place in the Conference USA standings. So good to see. Really big win for UAB. But you guys ready to talk about what happened in Denton? in the Super Pit against North
Let's-
Texas?
Let's do it.
Jimmy, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, heartbreaking game, 2 overtime loss. So, that's going to sting a little bit. That also speaks to just how nice it was to be able to bounce back in the big way that we did on Saturday. When I'm thinking about the game against North Texas, there's some obvious things to point out, and one is the free throw disparity. So, when you look at our total free throw attempts, we finished 5 of 10, excuse me, and North Texas, obviously they hit everything, 23 of 25 from the free throw line. And that's really difficult. It's going to be difficult for us no matter who we're playing if we don't get to the free throw line. I think before the game, we were averaging 25 free throw attempts and 18 makes a game on 74% from the line. So it's certainly one of the strengths of this team. And as I was watching the first half, I don't think we took a free throw attempt until 11:25 remaining in the first half. And as you guys remember, that was when Javian Davis went to the line and unfortunately missed 3 straight attempts. Yep. And you look at the halftime statistics, and I think we were down 5. And the free throw disparity, we were 0 for 3. North Texas was 8 for 8. So it really started early, and it continued throughout the game. Credit to UNT, again, for hitting everything at the free throw line. I was joking with Brad at the game against Middle Tennessee. It just starts to feel when you're struggling from the free throw line that the other team can't miss. And it really just starts to mentally frustrate you as a fan to watch that. And unfortunately, we also had, at the end of the game, we saw Jelly go to the line, and he had a 1-and-1. I think there was about 20 seconds left in the game, and that could have put us up 3, and he missed the front end. And, that happens. But, the free throw disparity from start to finish was a concern. And that was the thing that stuck out to me first and foremost as it relates to why ultimately we weren't able to get the win in Denton.
Yeah, Jimmy, I think you're right. I think that's the thing that you're gonna see first is the free throws, right? The disparity and us missing. We left a lot of points out there on the free throw line, and that's the first thing that if you just if Jelly make those free throws, and I love that he took accountability, but this game was far from his fault. Let's start there, but. That's gonna be the first thing that pop out. It's hey man, maybe if we just made 2 more free throws, we win that game, and that would have been a quad 1 game. But overall, I liked how we played in that game. We were, I just hated that defensively we were good 95% of the time. I realized that North Texas really doesn't. And you can say whatever. People can say whatever you want about Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is not like a Jelly Walker type of creator. He is not that. From watching that game, he is a guy that North Texas is a team that will take advantage of your mistakes. So if they can get a loose ball, get an offensive rebound, put back, or if it's a long rebound, they got a lot of long rebounds for threes. It'll be an open 3. So if you look at when Tyler Perry hit those back-to-back threes when we started to go on a run, one was on the offensive rebound. He was able to get one was luck, and he just hit off the backboard. That's not really, And then one was that 5% of the defense that I didn't like was us getting lost. It wasn't really us getting beat. It was us kind of making just losing our head for a second. And when they were able to shake free, now they are a team of skill. They can make open shots. They can't make contested shots. They didn't make not one contested shots when we were doing the things that we were supposed to do. When we were mentally locked in, they didn't make a shot. Whenever we didn't, for example, I know one play. I think it wasn't Tyler Perry, it was the other guard that kind of Kai, what's his name?
Is it Huntsberry?
Huntsberry. Yeah. I know he made some post shots. And let me start. When guards get in the post and play like a power forward, bro, it's the ugliest thing. They hit hook shots. It's the ugliest type of basketball to me. I hate I hate that type of basketball. But hey, it worked for him. He scored twice in the post. But One play, their center popped out to the top of the key, like the top of the 3-point line. And this is an example, and I hate to kind of put Trey on the spot here, but Trey kind of like followed him out there. It left the lane wide open. There was no reason. I remember seeing him do it. He just naturally, as a player, when you play basketball, you just taught to kind of stick with your man. You don't need that dude is not shooting the ball. He's a center. He's a non-shooter. He's a hustle guy that gets offensive rebounds and putbacks. Stay back in the lane. Huntsberry, as soon as he saw that, beeline right to the hole and one. And that was a big basket down the stretch, and they was able to really get energized off of that and one. I can't remember who it was on exactly, but he just soon as he saw Trey Jemison, he saw no help. And there was no reason, and Trey tried to get back into play and block it, but it was too late. I think he realized, like, dang, what am I out here for? But we had a couple of lapses like that defensively. Tony kind of flopped on a big basket from Huntsberry. It was no reason to flop. Just stay in your ground and make him shoot over you. He shot over you the first time, okay, but do not flop. We had just a couple of times of like, dude, that Tyler Perry 3, we let him get open. It was Ladarius Brewer that time that just fell asleep. The guy just ran around, open 3. We didn't contest. And he made it. I'm like, this dude just made his last 3 off of offense. Now off of offensive rebound. Now we let him get hot. Now we let them get back in the game. And that's what we have to correct. And when it comes to big games, we have to mentally stay locked in. North Texas is a team that they stay locked in. I think we're more talented than they are on an individual basis. But I think mentally, just how they play, they show that they're going to just continue to run their plays or whatever, and they're going to take what they can get, and they're going to play defense. That's it. And if you give them an open shot, they're going to make it. And we gave them too many opportunities. Like, we missed those free throws. We had those lapses. If we stay locked in, we win that game by 7-8. And if we hit our free throws too. So I was actually encouraged by what I saw, because I can say for most of the game we were locked in, and then offensively they were able to they went on runs and they were able to kind of put us in a drought, because I think they're a good defensive team. They're really good defensively, and they were able to kind of get us out of sorts to where it's like we didn't have confidence in what we wanted to do offensively. We should have just kept running what we run. I would have liked to see Jamie Davis go back in the game, because he's like a calming presence. Like, when we kind of get out of whack, he's a guy that you can just throw it down to on the block and he can make something happen. When we kind of just can't get a good shot, that's when we saw Jelly pressing a lot, doing those step back threes, hey, like, let's get some good shots in first. He got way better that second half, but in the first half, oh my God, it was like step back in transition. Like, let me just put a move on and just throw up a mid-range shot while I'm contorting my body. Like, and it's fool's gold when he hits one of those shots. Like, I talked about that. I hate when he hit one, because it's like he's going to keep taking them. And he think those are good shots. But he got better the second half, and he learned. I can tell he learned that Middle Tennessee game, and he trusted his teammates, man. And it's so many things that we could have done to win that game. But for the most part, we played well. And I think that's something that we can build off of. I want to see them in the tournament. We owe them. Like,
I feel the same way.
I want to get them in the tournament. I think we will expose them.
Yeah, no doubt. And Darion, you and Jimmy hit on everything pretty much, especially the free throw disparity. I mean, yeah, hey, yeah, it's hard to win on the road, let alone in conference, if you can't hit your free throws. And at the end of the day, I do think that's what doomed UAB. I do agree with Darion that 95% of that game, UAB played very well defensively. I will say, though, Trey Jemison got worked in that first half by Usman. I mean, Usman he ended up with 15, but I swear 10 or 12 of those were from the first half, and he was just working Jemison and Davis inside. So credit to the big fella down. In the article, my 3 keys to a Blazer victory, I wrote that was going to be a matchup to watch between Usman and Jemison. First half, I think Usman won, but I think second half Trey stepped up and did a better job and kind of held Usman in check the second half. But I mean, when he's able to get going inside, it's kind of tough to beat this North Texas team.
But it's not really about Usman scoring; it's about his energy, and he caught Trey Jemison a lot of times just kind of
flat-footed, and I mean he was
caught
just
him sleep. He caught him sleeping, and he was able to knock the ball out. Even if he didn't get the rebound, he was able to He really outworked. I don't know if he physically outworked him or if he just mentally was like, he was locked in all the time. So if the ball was in the air, he was running around. Yeah. He was trying to get his hands on the ball. When Trey was just kind of ball watching, and I get it because most people are kind of gonna ball watch. You kind of can just lay a hand on them, and if you already got position, it's kind of like, it's basketball. No, not this guy. I really respect his game because he's always gonna be active. That is the name of his game, and I respect it because that's a skill. A motor is a skill, and he really killed Trey with activity. I was like, Trey ain't used to this because guy just stayed active, and he always got a hand. I think that's how Tyler Perry started to get hot because I think he knocked the ball out, wide open 3, bam, off a tap out, basically. Half of the balls he wasn't even getting, he was just like hitting. He was just being a freaking pest, man. That's the hardest guys to guard sometimes.
If we see North Texas again in the tournament, we've got to draw fouls on Usman. So he is someone that in previous games you can look at the box scores here. He's picked up 5 fouls, 4 fouls, 4 fouls, and really you look across the different games. He's playing 23 minutes here, 22, 26, 26. He played 41 against us in 2 overtimes. So, that had to be, it had to be a career high in minutes for Usman. And to Darion's point, he's very active. And so if we do see North Texas again, I'm going to make a footnote that we've got to get him on the bench. Just pick up a second quick foul, get him out of the game for a little while. That way we can get into a rhythm. And that's going to be critical if we do see him again.
And in 41 minutes, only 1 foul. That is insane.
That's crazy.
I think that shows that we wasn't matching his energy or physicality.
No. I mean, I think Trey did a better job in the second half, but kind of guarding him. But matching his energy, to me, I know Tyler Perry had 28, but to me, Usman was the player of the game for North Texas.
Oh yeah, because Tyler Perry had an inefficient 28. I'm not worried about it. It took him a lot of shots to get to that 28.
And how do you get a lot of shots? You get rebounds, and look who got out rebounded that game.
Usman. Yeah. So.
But hey, overall, UAB loses in double overtime, 82-79. I thought most of the game UAB did play well. So it's really just, hey, you hit some of them free throws. If like Jimmy mentioned earlier, if Jelly makes that front end of the 1-and-1, UAB ices that game. So, and that was Jelly's only free throw for the game. 0 for 1. That was his only free throw.
Yeah, and he wanted that one too. He would not pass it, and he was confident. And I'm like, man, this is just our luck, right? But I think we played well enough to win that game. We just didn't convert on those free throws, and we didn't stay locked in mentally. We weren't able to handle Usman's energy, and we mentally, North Texas challenges you the whole game, not only with their physicality, but just with their mind. And you have to just meet with if you fight with fire with them, you can win against them, but you just got to want it more.
What's that Metallica song, Fight Fire with Fire? Yeah, have y'all heard that song?
No.
Mr. Game of Thrones doesn't Metallica. Okay, I see how it is. No, well, I think we can wrap it up with the recap of the North Texas. Hey guys, I know y'all feel the same. Overall, UAB played well. Just the free throws and just a couple things. Then what Darion said, I think UAB wins by 7 or 8 points. It's there. But hey, that's okay. They got right in Bartow Saturday, beat Middle Tennessee. So UAB is now 9-6 in Conference USA. But now we gotta hit the road. Yes, UAB will travel to El Paso for the last time, at least as conference mates in Conference USA, this Thursday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. It'll be on ESPN Plus. But guys, you see that record of UTEP's record, 5-9 in Conference USA. But you both know as well as I do, it is hard to win in the Don Haskins Center against UTEP. So if we can just continue what we showed against Middle Tennessee, don't take this team for granted, put them away early, then I like UAB to win by double digits. But that's a big if. Like, hey, the UAB faced this team in December and darn well probably deserved to lose that ball game in Bartow. But somehow, some way, they were able to get it to double overtime and squeak out a win in Bartow over UTEP. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy in El Paso to beat UTEP. But what's your guys' read on this game? Darion, what are you saying?
We're a different team.
There you go.
We're a totally different team than what we were in December, and I feel confident in saying that. I'm very confident in saying that. I'm happy as hell where coaching staff has gotten his team to this point. And I just want to see us continue to grow. We have grown every game since hitting adversity. This is how I wish I hate to keep harping back to it, but I wish the football team would have responded like this, but we didn't. But this team has really responded with growth, and they have really found an identity. They have started trusting each other. Javion Davis and Ty Brewer have both been better, much better since they got suspended that one game. It seemed like all the right buttons. I wanted to say also is like I said something about Coach AK's like timeout usage and how I felt like he kind of sometimes let some teams get going and he used his timeout too late. No, like he was killing it. If you made 2 baskets in a row, timeout. Yep. He did that both games. Like he was using it. He used this. He coached his butt off that North Texas game, and even though it resulted in a loss, I felt like it was his best coach game. Because when Jelly started doing those crazy shots or whatever, I saw him on the sideline, calm him down, making passes to Eric, and run plays and get other guys going. I've seen enough visual evidence from the coach and the players and the response to say, I'm not really worried about UTEP. I am worried about how the team, will they continue to grow is what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about the players they have on that side. I'm worried about, is it true? Is this the growth that we've been showing? Is that us? Is this our identity? They have another chance to prove it against UTEP. That's how I look at it.
Hey, I'll definitely be nervous going to the matchup. As John stated, it's a difficult place to win, and on the road we haven't been as successful as we would have hoped thus far this season. To Darion's point, we have witnessed that growth really over the last 5 or 6 games, and so I'm encouraged at the same time. When you think about the last matchup, we were out rebounded by 14, and we're a good rebounding team. We allowed 20 offensive rebounds, and so we know what UTEP is going to do. They're going to be super physical. They're going to play incredible defense. They're going to try to turn us over, and so it's going to be important that growth that we saw with Eric Gaines and Jelly, with the high assist and the efficient offensive side of the ball, we're going to have to continue that and not turn the ball over. I don't think UTEP is a great offensive team, and so the last thing we want to do is give them easy buckets at home, what AK calls pick sixes. We don't want to give them those easy opportunities, so that's going to be something to watch as well. They don't convert well at the line, so again, I think the key is going to be that we take care of the basketball, that we really just avoid the letdown. We maintain our composure. We don't let them get in our heads. To me, it's kind of like if you're playing pickup basketball and you get matched up against someone, you overlook them a little bit. You're like, I don't think this person can shoot. And then, you play them, they hit a few shots. okay, next game that's not going to happen again. So it's one thing for AK to say, hey, this team's going to be super physical. They're going to play incredible defense. And, they tried to take it to us in Barta the last time we saw them. Now we've seen it. Now we've played against it and we know, hey, they're going to be very scrappy. They're going to go after all of these offensive rebounds. So I think we're going to have a good game plan going in. We just have to embrace the physicality. We've got to hope for Jelly to have a better shooting performance than he did against them this past time. He actually went 2 of 15 from 3, if y'all remember that. So, I don't think it's going to take our best game to win in El Paso, but those are just a few things that I'm going to keep an eye out for to see us hopefully walk out with a victory.
Yes, and I'm not going to say a whole lot. Guys, go to blazervictory.com Wednesday morning. You will see a preview article for the 3 keys to a Blazer victory for over UTEP. But I will follow up what Jimmy just said. Jelly only making 2 of those 3-pointers. Overall, in the first matchup, UAB was 3 of 24 from 3 for 12%. Just awful.
Ice cold.
Awful. I don't even know if it could get any worse than that. And also, hey, UTEP turned the ball over 25 times in that ball game. So that's single-handedly how UAB was able to squeak that victory out in Bartow. But yes, UTEP is a very physical team. UAB will have to bring it, and hopefully they, number one, win. But I want to see a convincing win on the road. Don't you guys? Just get a convincing win over a lesser opponent on the road. That's going to build up our confidence even more heading into March.
We did well against Rice. We got to bring that same energy, start off the game strong, and to your point, hopefully not be too stressed that late into the evening with that 8 o'clock tip on Thursday.
Oh, I hate 8 o'clock tips. But yes. Darion, anything to add? Anything else to add on UTEP?
No, sir. I got some Buffalo Wild Wings waiting on me.
Let's go. Hey, B-Dubs, if you want to sponsor us, hey, hit us up. Well, UAB does have another game Saturday. After that, a game against UTEP Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. UAB will travel to the Convo Center to take on the UTSA Roadrunners. I'm going to struggle with writing an article for this game. I mean, guys, I'm not trying to be mean, but if UAB shows up and kind of Jimmy's point, not overlooking your opponent, if UAB just shows up, UAB should roll UTSA in the Convo Center.
They suck.
Hey, 319 in Kim Palm, 317 in the net. Don't overlook them. Not good.
Hey,
not good at all.
UTEP is they got a good side and a bad side. UTSA, when you look at their offensive and defensive efficiency, it's both in red. It's both 267 adjusted offensive efficiency, 335 on the defensive side. So yeah, hopefully this week is a week in which we can get 2 wins.
Hey man,
UTSA has got to get it together heading into the American like that. Like what is going?
John, Jimmy, me, Noah, and my daughter. we are like taking them to the 4th quarter in the closing game, bro. Like
happened. They had those 2 electric scores. You thought they were putting something together, and since then it's just been rough.
Was it a Jarvis Jack? Or no, what was that dude's name?
I can picture one was 22, and I know
yes.
It was last name Jackson. I'm forgetting who it was as well. That was the other one, but yeah, they were electric. I remember them in Bartow. They hit really clutch shots, and that was a difficult game. So I'm not sure what happened after that. We'll have to have some of the UTSA faithful tell us what's going on with that. But I agree, they are doing so well in football that we just hope for the conference sake that they can turn around a little bit on the basketball court.
And Darion, speaking of birds, what kind of wings are you eating right now?
Well, I'm finna go eat them, but I got some Asian zing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love Asian zing. I got a couple mild. I got those for the kids, really. Yeah, I'm about to eat those too.
Hey, y'all know at Bartow they come around and they do the Buffalo Wild Wings sponsorship, and they hand out the wings. So they've actually came to me twice this season. I said no because I just wasn't hungry. I already ate. And speaking of our wives, not happy about that. I was told that the next time that somebody offers me free Buffalo Wild Wings, I'm bringing it home. Doesn't matter. So,
dude, but I was gonna say, to be honest, like I'd be stressed out eating some wings like while you're trying to watch a basketball game in Bartow, like you getting your hands messy. Like, oh, I'd probably say no too.
She just wants me to bring him home for her.
There you go. Well, I think we hit it on both of those games. UAB, hey, let's go 2-0, get 2 more wins, and just get some confidence rolling heading towards Frisco. But Darion, you want to close us out, buddy?
Yes, sir. Blazer Nation. Let's ride.
Let's ride.